We have to wait for the clerk, sorry.
Split in half. I'll be the clerk.
Officer, if you're another time, I want you to know it.
Do y'all get my child business card?
Huh?
Yeah.
I know, I ran out.
Oh, you just ordered them. Order more.
I know, I just told Darlene, but I'm like, I've never given out my business cards.
Wait, we're waiting for the other clerk.
Get mine. I probably will.
Okay. All right. Tell me when you're good to go. We're good? All right.
Mr. Vieira?
I'd like to call this Tampa City Council meeting to order. Roll call, please.
He's here.
Carlson. Hurtek.
Here.
Clendenin.
Here.
Henderson.
Present.
Viera.
Here.
Miranda.
Here.
Maniscalco.
Here.
We have a physical form.
Thank you. Item number 6.
Thank you, Council. LaShawn Dock, Development Coordination. Item 6 is REZ 24108. It's for the property at 2902 Melbourne Boulevard. The request is to rezone the property from RM16 Residential Multifamily and CI Commercial Intensive to CG Commercial General. And I'll turn it over to Ms. Malone to give her report.
Good evening, City Council. Jennifer Malone with the Planning Commission staff. This is an aerial of the subject site. It is located at the Interstate 4 and North 50th Street interchange. There's some residential uses in the surrounding area as well as some commercial uses, which are reflected when you look at the future land use. It's also in the East Tampa Urban Village. Future land use is Community Commercial 35. That allows for residential, but also some intensive commercial uses. This applicant is asking for commercial general, which is not even as intense as they could go. So it's a nice, it'll fit nicely with the intent of the future land use category, the pattern of the surrounding area, especially since, given the surrounding commercial zoning and development pattern, Planning Commission staff found that the proposed CG zoning district is comparable and compatible with the area, and it'll allow for infill development and redevelopment of a mostly vacant site, which is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, LaShawn Dock, Development Coordination. With this request, there is no site plan, it is a Euclidean request. The property itself contains 46,173 square feet approximately. This is the survey submitted by the applicant. The subject site is outlined in blue. This is 49th Street, this is East 18th Avenue. And you can see that this is the western boundary of the site at Carioca Street. So you can see there's about 200 feet of depth on the west. This is a fairly large parcel with 332 feet on the east, and the south has 280 feet, and then the boundary on the north has 408 feet. With the requested zoning, the maximum building height allowable would be 45 feet. And this is the zoning map of the property. So this is the property which is outlined in red. These are the individual parcels within the overall, but the outside boundary is that property boundary. So you can see along, this is Melbourne, this is 50th Street, and this is I-4 to the south, this is 18th Avenue. So north of the site, you have your CG Commercial General Zoning. This is a hotel use here. I'll show you the pictures. This is a gas station with the commercial uses along this segment of Melbourne. As you move further west and northwest of the site, you get into your residential single-family development. South of the site, you have a commercial use. There's a hotel to the south. And then you have residential multifamily zoning and uses to the west. And then I have pictures of the site to show. Out on the site visually, it's just hard to tell the property boundary because it's not a completely separate parcel. When you enter the site, this parking area is really just split. This is the beginning of the parcel, so we'll start at the north end of the site, make our way around the east, come to the south, come around to the west, and then to the north, and circle back to the site again. So this is the site. This is the east end of the site. This is the vehicular entrance to the site. That's the hotel that exists there, the roadway in. This is another view. This is a close-up of the entry of the site, so the subject site is here on this side. This is a view internal to the site, that's just the north of the site. So this is circling east of the site, this is like the southeast portion of the site. It's looking south. This is heading further south. And this is to the south end, now we're on 18th Avenue looking at the site. This is south of the subject site, and this is the hotel, and that's the entrance to the hotel.
Bless you.
This is looking west on East 18th Avenue. This is on East 18th Avenue, southwest of the site. Another view. This is the west end of the site, which of course is heavily wooded there. This is west of the site, this is the western portion of it. Another view west, that's looking north from 18th, if you're looking north on Carioca. And this is another view of the site, the west end. And then we're circling back around to the site, that's the hotel there, and this is the subject site. And then this is another boundary of the site itself. So the DRC staff has reviewed the request and find the request consistent. This is a Euclidean request, so there is no site plan associated with this request. And I'm available if you have any questions.
Any questions? Nope. All
Thank
right.
you.
Applicant?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, council members. I have a very quick PowerPoint. I'll keep it to a minimum. If we could pull that up, please.
All right, it's coming up on the screen. There you go.
I think staff did a good job presenting it to you. This is a request from RM16 and CI to CG. We have all consistent findings from Planning Commission, zoning, and all the departments. I'm not aware of any opposition from citizens on the record. You see the site is located in a very intensive area, North 50th and I-4, which branches off into the north and south ramps. This is a little bit closer up view of it. Very intense. Future land use categories are CC 35. CMU 35 is abutting to the north, which is the most intensive land use category in the city. Zoning categories match that as the CI and CGs in the area. Planning Commission has indicated to you that, given the surrounding pattern, they find the proposed CG is comparable and compatible. In conclusion, the CG would allow for development that is comparable and compatible with the character of the surrounding uses and is consistent with the development pattern in the area. And these are just a couple pictures. Again, the site is very intensive. We're all familiar with 50th. It's a multi-lane separated roadway. I-4 is running right across in front. This is 50th and the Melbourne Street, and again, I-4, which runs right in front as well. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak on this item? This is item 6.
Motion closed.
We have a motion closed from Councilmember Clendenin with the second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor? Aye. Councilmember Carlson, it's your turn.
Move number 6, file number REZ 24-108, public ordinance being presented for first reading consideration, ordinance rezoning property in the general vicinity of 2902 Melbourne Boulevard in the city of Tampa, Florida, and more particularly described in section 1 from zoning district classification RM16 residential multifamily and CI commercial intensive to CG commercial general, providing effective date.
We have a motion from Councilmember Carlson, second from Councilmember Henderson. Roll call.
Henderson,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Hurtek,
Yes.
Clendenin,
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Second reading and adoption will be held on March 27th, 2025 at 10 a.m. located at 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
Thank you. Item 7.
Good evening again. For the record, Christopher Demonch, Development Coordination. Agenda item number 7 is REZ 24-110. This is a request to rezone 622 and 642 West Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and 3912, 3915, and 3917 North Boulevard from planned development to CG and RS50. I'll turn it over now to Planning Commission staff.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Planning Commission staff, Jennifer Malone. This is in the Central Tampa Planning District within the Tampa Heights Urban Village. It's at the corner of North Boulevard and West Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Both of those roads are arterial roadways. The surrounding area is either residences or offices, and we know at least Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard is really primarily commercial. When we look at the future land use, it has two future land uses on the site. Community mixed use 35 is the pink. That's what we see along most of our major corridors in the city. That's what's along West Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Residential 10, this portion down here, is typically our single-family detached future land use category, and that's really predominantly on North Boulevard. So the applicant has requested for commercial general zoning on the community mixed use 35 flu, and then the residential single-family 50 zoning on the residential 10 future land use designation. So those are in line, the zoning is in line with the future land use designation for those parcels. This is consistent with our urban village policies, which seeks to direct the greatest share of growth to our urban villages. Through approval of this rezoning, we would expect the growth to occur at this intersection. I just also like to say that it's comparable and compatible with the character of the surrounding uses, and it's consistent with the development pattern and consistent with the comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
For the record, Christopher Demonge, Development Coordination. We'll start with an aerial of the subject site and the surrounding area. You can see the subject site outlined in red. And it's located at the southeast corner of the intersection of North Boulevard and West Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard. The subject site is undeveloped. It's located in the Tampa Heights Overlay District. The requested CG and RS zoning districts are allocated as followed on the subject site. Lots 4 through 9 are proposed for CG zoning, and lot 10 on the southern portion of the site is proposed for RS50 zoning. The surrounding development pattern of the neighborhood is comprised of we have CVS to the north of the subject site. There's an office development located northwest of the subject site. East of the subject site, we have a vacant parcel. We also have single-family detached dwellings located along North Clearfield Avenue. We have a dental office to the south of the subject property. West of the subject property, we have a gas station, a dry cleaning business, and southwest of the subject site, we have single-family detached dwellings. It also should be noted that further south on the subject property on North Boulevard, we do have 3 planned development sites. These properties have been rezoned over the past 30 years. They include business, professional, office uses, and those sites have retained a residential character to them. The current PD for the subject property allows for specialty retail and retail sales, but does not allow for all the CG and residential single-family uses, which is the purpose for the applicant's request is to allow those CG and RS50 uses. This is a survey of the subject property. It's outlined in, let me fix that. This is a survey of the subject property outlined in yellow. We have North Boulevard.
Bring it up a little bit.
Whoops.
Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you.
This is the survey of the subject property outlined in yellow. We have North Boulevard along the western portion of the subject site. There's approximately 295 feet of street frontage. We also have West Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard on the northern portion of the property, and there's approximately 121 feet of street frontage along that roadway. And given the surrounding uses, the requested use of CG and RS50 zoning is appropriate in location and provides an opportunity, it provides an appropriate transition with the surrounding parcels. Since this is a Euclidean rezoning, there is no site plan or elevations provided. We do have some photos of the subject site. This is looking at the subject parcel from the north side of West Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. This is more of a close-up if you're on the south side of that same roadway. This is the subject site from the southwest corner. This is the view of the subject property if you're on the west side of North Boulevard. Looking north, we have CVS Pharmacy. Looking northwest, we have an office complex. South of the subject parcel, we have an existing dental office. East of the subject site, we have a vacant parcel. And then adjacent to the site, along North Clearfield Avenue, to the east, we have several single-family detached dwellings. These are all along North Clearfield Avenue. Looking west of the subject site, we have a gas station. And to the south of the gas station, we have a dry cleaning business. And then looking southwest from the subject site, we have single-family detached dwellings. These are along West Orient Street. And of course, this is looking down West Orient Street, looking west, actually. Development Coordination and Compliance staff have reviewed the application. We find the request consistent with the Land Development Code, and we are available for any questions you might have.
Any questions? Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Council. Steve McElhaney, representing the petitioner. This is a downzoning, taking the PD back to the original CG and the RS50. I don't know what else I can say. It's consistent with the city staff and the Planning Commission. I don't want to belabor this, but it respectfully request your approval. It is on a mixed-use corridor, and so it is consistent with all your development guidelines, and it does provide a single-family residence as a buffer on the south side of the property. I respectfully request your approval.
Councilman Miranda.
Mr. Chairman, if you didn't know Huddle's Corner, you didn't know Tampa. There was an old place there called Huddle's Corner where all the people would buy their flowers on Sunday to take to the gravesite for their relatives and friends. And then in the back, there was the first one that put a one-pump gas, so you could pump your own gas as you went in the back and bought your stuff, got in the car and left. It was very unique, and it was there for about 20-some years, 20, maybe 30 years. And then, of course, came Little General and 7-Eleven and everybody else. And so changes do happen, and that's how it was.
Yep, when I was a kid, my grandmother and I would go to Hutto's Corner and get flowers to take to the cemetery to Myrtle Hill. That's why we would stop there, so. Back in the day.
Back in the day. They also had sandwiches and.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would get comic books too. Anything else?
No.
Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak on this item?
Motion to close.
Wait, we
Second.
have people here. Wait, yes, ma'am, come on up. That's you. Please state your name.
I'm Ari Fitzgerald, and I live in Riverside Heights, really just a stone's throw away from the former Hutto's Corner. Y'all know this fronts Martin Luther King Boulevard and is surrounded by residential development. As staff noted, it's a commercial artery on both sides. Development should be more intense. There's a busy CVS across Martin Luther King from the subject property, and I walk to it all the time, and I have to cross MLK to do it. So I would really be happy to walk to something I don't have to cross MLK to visit. I would like to meet other needs other than pharmaceutical ones by having some commercial development on that property, with the addition of a real commercial project that's more intense. Based on a Facebook post that I unfortunately can't show you because of a busted phone, I learned about this from a post on my neighborhood page where a lot of people were kind of bemoaning the fact that there's less commercial than what we really actually need and want. Our area is a commercial dead zone, and the commercial general designation isn't really fooling anyone, and it isn't really helping us that much. A residentially dense area like ours doesn't need more residences, it needs more commercial development, and we need to look to the future on this and plan for the future, and we are undergoing a revitalization where a lot more residents are being put in neighborhoods, but commercial arteries really should prefer commercial development. The Tampa Heights Civic Association opposed this earlier incarnation of it because it wouldn't work. This project is really just more of the same. They didn't hold a good neighbor meeting with the association. I do attend meetings regularly, and they did not hold a good neighbor meeting with Tampa Heights Civic Association. And they're using a valuable commercial location that would be walkable for residents between Columbus and even South Seminole Heights for something people probably won't want to walk to. If the city is being asked, by the way, to vacate their alley to do this, I would suggest that you disapprove this rezoning and that you have virtually unfettered discretion in that regard with regard to your alley. I'm familiar with the case that arose from the previous rezoning request, and I know you can do that. Also, with regard to townhouses and businesses, I see what's been going on in Seminole Heights, and it's not pretty. Please deny this.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else? Yes, sir, come on up. Yes, sir, please say your name.
First, I have to ask, is this the property on the corner of Highland and?
No, this is Martin Luther King and North Boulevard.
All right, thank you.
Yep. All right. Anybody else? Is there a rebuttal?
Just an explanation, council. It's going to CG on those areas that are abutting the commercial corridor and residential further down on North Boulevard. I think there's some confusion about what was being requested, but anyway, I think I'd respectfully request your approval.
Can either staff or Mr. McElhaney, maybe you'd like to explain what CG, what will be developed in the CG property, so that the person who expressed concern.
Yeah, general commercial, all types of retail. I think, office could go in there as well. It's fairly low intensive. The CI is much more intensive. I have a whole list of the proposed, the possible uses, but you want to explain any more, or I've got it covered?
Chris Demonch, Development Coordination. There's a host of uses that are permitted within the CG zoning. I don't know if we just want to go through some of them.
Yeah, that's fine. We can, bookstore, gas station, all kinds of stuff, bank. Is that enough, or you want me to keep going?
We have personal services, pharmacy, medical office.
So I'll save you some time. So it would not be residential. It'd be some type of commercial application would be.
In the commercial zone,
Commercial.
right?
So it would be developed in a commercial way on that.
The remaining lot to the bottom, to the far south, has a residential 10 land use designation, so it can only be single family.
All right, got it. Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Can I get a motion to close?
Motion closed.
Motion closed from Councilmember Clendenin, second Councilmember Miranda. All in favor? Aye. Councilmember Miranda, do you want to read?
Yes, sir.
The
Thank you.
Hutto's Corner.
Item number 7, file number REZ 24-110. Ordinance being presented for first reading consideration. Ordinance rezoning property in general vicinity of 622 and 642 West Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard and 3912, 3915, 3917 North Boulevard in City of Tampa, Florida, and more particularly described from Section 1 Zoning District Classification, PD Plan Development, to CG Commercial General and RS 50 Residential Single Family, providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Councilmember Miranda, second Councilmember Clendenin. Roll call vote.
Viera,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Carlson, Hurtak,
Yes.
Clendenin,
Yes.
Henderson,
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Second reading and adoption will be held on March 27th, 2025 at 10 a.m., located at 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
Thank you, council.
Thank you very much. Item number 8. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Council. LaShawn, Dock Development Coordination. Item number 8 is REZ 2513. It's for the property at 4601 and 4611 West North 8th Street. The request is to rezone the property from RO1 Residential Office and PD Plan Development, which allows for business, professional, and medical office, to PD Residential Single Family Attached. And I'll turn it over to Ms. Malone to give her report.
Planning Commission, this is Jennifer Malone. We have traveled to the West Shore Planning District, also within the West Shore employment area. This is the West Shore Mall to the west of the site. What's interesting about this site is it is 1 block north of West Kennedy Boulevard, and I'm sure Ms. Dock will go over this in her analysis of the surrounding area, but the site ends up interfacing the commercial uses that front West Kennedy Boulevard. The street along West North 8th Street is also developed with all offices, and I didn't do a residential density calculation on the existing density on the site, on the street, because there is no other residential. It's either offices or like the backside of those commercial uses that are along Kennedy. There is residential at the corner of Trask, and then north of the site, what would be behind the site along West North B Street. And then if you look in the future land use, it is interfacing the regional mixed use 100 future land use, which is the second highest future land use category in the entire city. The highest one is Central Business District, which is downtown. Future land use of the site itself is residential 35, and then we have residential 20 to the east. So as the pattern changes as one moves north, the residential 35 was providing that transition as we moved off of the corridor from those intensive uses. It's also within proximity to 2 transit emphasis corridors. It's right kind of off the corner of West Kennedy Boulevard and Northwest Shore Boulevard. The comprehensive plan supports putting housing in these strategic locations. It's also an employment center. We want our housing in places that have ample access to transit services and employment opportunities. About the design, the comprehensive plan encourages these uses to be designed with front doors oriented towards neighborhood sidewalks or streets. I'm sure, as Ms. Dock will go through in her presentation as well, most of the units have their orientation towards the streets, either towards West North 8th Street or North Trask Street. One of the buildings is set back. However, we found it consistent with this policy because they provided a clear pedestrian connection from those units on the northern portion of the site. There's a way for a pedestrian to get safely from those units to the sidewalk all the way down to West North 8th Street. And so we analyzed that, we discussed it, and we found that it was consistent with that policy. So I'm available for any further questions if you have any. Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you again, LaShawn, Dock Development Coordination. I'll put up the site plan that was submitted with this request by the applicant. Let me zoom out just a little bit. So this rezoning, this PD rezoning would allow for development of 21 units. These are residential single-family units to be contained within 3 buildings on site. This is the, on the site, this is Trask Street. Let me zoom out a little more just so you can see the street to the south, which is North A. So this is Trask, this is North A. You can see the 3 buildings on site. This building contains 5 units, and these 2 buildings contain 8 units. So the building, this is building 2, this is building 1, this is building 2, and building 3. So building 2 and building 1 has front door orientation to the right-of-way. So building 1, these doors front Trask, and you can see the walkway connection to the sidewalk. And the same with this building, those front doors orient to the right-of-way to North A Street. These buildings are the buildings that Ms. Malone was referencing on Building 3. Those front doors orient to the internal drive-out. So there's access, 2 points of vehicular access to the site, and they're both on North A Street. So you can enter the site, encircle the site, and exit here. Both points of entry, both points of access have two-way vehicular travel. And then the solid waste is located here on site. So 21 parking spaces are required and 42 spaces are provided. The site, as mentioned, is located in the West Shore overlay. It has the R35 land use designation. Given the size of the site, a maximum of 23 dwelling units can be developed by right on the site, and the applicant is proposing 21 dwelling units on site, and that density is allowed within the R35 category. And there are elevations provided, so I'll show you one set of the elevations. They're similar each building. So this is the rear elevation that's located there. This is the front elevation, and then this is the side, and then this is the other side elevation that's located there. Then we have the zoning atlas that I'll show. So this is the property which is identified on the site in red. This is North A Street, this is West Shore Boulevard, this is Kennedy Boulevard. So this site, as Ms. Malone mentioned, on the block face to the west, you have your office uses that exist, and these are prior approved PDs. South and really west of the site, you have the commercial uses, and these uses along Kennedy, they front Kennedy. In this block directly south, this is the parking for the uses that front. So this is like the drive-through and the bank parking for the bank that fronts Kennedy. North of the site, you have some of the residential, single-family, but I'll show you pictures. You have single-family attached, you have residential multifamily in the block north of the site. And you can see the rezonings where the PDs have come through. Along the east, you have residential multifamily and residential single-family attached PD uses that have been approved. West of the site, as you approach West Shore Boulevard, you have your commercial uses, and this is the mall that is located here. And I have a few pictures of the site in the surrounding area. So this is the site, this is Trask, this is at West North A. This is another view, this is just showing the side view. And this is heading further west. And this is as we head west down the block. The structures on the site and the office uses. And then this is, if you turn around and look north on Trask on the corner, the subject site is off to the west in this picture. This is north of the subject site, so this is the side view of the, it's actually the single-family semi-detached uses that are located north of the site, and that's a front view of those, so this is the block directly north of the site. This is another view of the development north of the site, and you can see some of the multifamily in there. This is a better view of that multifamily that's along the north. And then we come back around east of the site. This is one of the PDs that are approved with the single family semi-detached. This is south of the site, the bank parking, and then that's another view south of the site. So with the review, the DRC staff has reviewed the request. There is a finding of inconsistent with the request. I'd like to have Erin go over her comments, but there were 4 waivers that were requested. 3 of the waivers requested are related to natural resources, and 1 of the waivers requested are related to the front door orientation on the site.
Before we get there, I have a question.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm confused about the parking requirements. There's 21 units, and it says that there's only required to have 21 parking spots, and then they're requesting a waiver to get it down to, so what's happening there? So why is there, if there's 21 units, why is there only a requirement for less than 42 spots?
So this should be based upon the number of bedroom units that are provided, because they're requesting the parking.
Yeah, the job and Scott mobility too, that's the, I think that's because of the overlay. It's only 1 unit.
So they're only required to have 1 parking spot per unit?
That's correct.
Wow,
They're allowed offsets.
interesting. That's the first time I've seen that since I've been on council.
Yep. Yes, ma'am. Anything else?
Oh, no, I didn't know if there were any other questions.
All right, thank you very much.
So there are site plan modifications to be made between first and second reading, and I'm gonna turn it over to Erin to go over her comments, and then I'm available for questions.
Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am, go ahead.
Erin Mayer, Development Coordination. I'm going to speak to Natural Resources finding of inconsistency for REZ 2513. So here on the overhead, you can see the aerial of the site. I do just want to point out these teardrops in red. These are the 2 non-hazardous grand live oaks that they are requesting a waiver to remove. Right now, the site plan actually requests a waiver for 3, but I just want to fix on the record that that should be 2. This red triangle here was a non-hazardous grand live oak that uprooted during the hurricane. So that one is no longer there. So these 2 trees require 19 mitigation trees. I'm just going to show you some pictures. This is post-hurricane too, so there's been some, significant defoliation, as there has been with lots of trees throughout the city. This is tree 527, a grand live oak, 43-inch diameter, rated B7. I do just want to point out this tree did have a few limb failures in the upper canopy and this large limb here. It still requires a waiver to remove the tree, however, and so that is being requested. This is tree number 548. It's along the alley outside the fence here. It's a 36-inch live oak rated C5. And the setback that's being requested here is approximately 10 feet. And as you could see, significant proportion of this tree's canopy would require removal, hence the reason for the waiver that is being requested for this tree. So I'm going to show you the site plan here and show you where the 2 grand trees are located on the site plan. In building 2 is the first tree I showed you. It's approximately 15 feet just north of the southern property line. And here is the second grand tree. This tree would require at least a 20-foot setback in order for the pruning to not be adverse to the tree's canopy. And again, this is the uprooted grand tree right there. So this project does require a waiver to green space. So they are requesting a waiver from the required 350 square feet of green space per unit to 240 square feet per unit. So the total required for the site is 8,945 square feet. And the applicant is providing 6,646 square feet with a total deficit of 2,299. So furthermore, the site cannot accommodate any type 1 trees on the site, which the majority of the trees that are being removed on the site are type 1. Granted, some of them are in declining condition, but it is still removing type 1 tree canopy. There are overhead wires on both the frontages to the the east and the north, so they do need to plant type 3 trees in those locations. The only locations that could actually provide for type 1 trees are along the southern part of the street here. This setback is only, the green space area is only 5 feet, however, and it can't accommodate type 1 trees. Same for the western border. I think the setback might be 7 or 5, but the soil volume isn't sufficient to sustain and, you know, support mature tree canopy and growth. So just for context, typically what we require when people plant a type 1 tree is around a 20 by 20 foot square feet, which is 400 square feet, which a lot of times we go off the cubic soil volume, which is around, you know, 1,200 cubic feet, 1,300 cubic feet is what we usually will ask for. So based on the fact that there weren't any type 1 trees, they're not meeting the green space and the waivers to the grands, we found the project inconsistent.
Okay. Thank you very much. Does that conclude the presentation before I go to the applicant? Yes, come on up. Who's the applicant? Yes, sir. In the movie.
Presentation that's electronic, so it'll be.
It's on YouTube.
Where's the HDMI connection? The HDMI connection?
Here's a picture for it.
There's no cord. I got a cord.
Oh, okay.
Jonathan Scott has been our IT guy tonight. Yeah, transportation and IT.
Multifaceted.
Yeah, it shows we get
ask for a raise. Yeah, it was there when I tested it.
Film I've never seen of Central.
HDMI.
It's old school. For some reason.
Keep it simple.
The new ones don't work.
Yeah.
There you go. Nice and easy.
It's now sending already. Excellent.
Just need to keep the power this thing around.
Yeah, you had a mask on last week, you didn't feel good.
Okay, am I running it off of here or am I running it off of here?
Either one. Open or close, you can do it either way. Just click on it.
Yeah, I agree.
Excellent.
All right,
Good
sir,
eve-
please state your name. We know who you are, but you know.
Absolutely. My name's Rob Rosner with Florida Design Consultants. I'm a certified planner and professional landscape architect representing our client for this. Recently, the agent of record was Alex Rios from Rios Architecture. We've recently picked this project up. We were consulting on it previously, and we're here to represent the project. So the items that were found inconsistent, we're happy to solve between first reading and second reading. This project's been going for about 2 years, and we were supposed to be heard back in November, and with some changes and things that needed to happen, we're now being heard today. So we've been working with staff to try to resolve some of the issues that were identified as inconsistent, and part of my presentation I'll share that with you. So can you see this on your screens? Okay, great. So this is 4601 on West North A Street. 4601's here, 4611's here. We have, I gotta be careful of that button, shouldn't I? So we went out and took pictures back in September, before the hurricane. And then we went out 2 days ago and took pictures, and we did a 360 camera and showed what the conditions of these trees were, so you can see them in person. And because we did it 360, you can see the canopy and look at it in all directions. So we're going to share that presentation with you. So the ones that we were wanting to talk about, Aaron mentioned 545, which is the one that uprooted. We have some photos of that. So this is those from looking from inside the site. 545 is kind of under these words, but it's the gap, oh golly. It's the gap in the fence where that used to be. 546 is the next one. That one's in poor condition, but it's not a grand tree. We're not asking for that one. 548 is kind of hard to see in this particular photo, but we'll go back to, yep. And then, so 548, we did a video of this. So we took this back in September, had a pretty good looking head, but you can see that there are wires that cross through that. And when you look at the site plan, the access wires that are feeding the buildings that are here go through the canopy. And when TECO, they usually butcher these trees, which is a shame, and we like to try to save trees when we can. But this tree looks really good from this angle. It doesn't look a whole lot worse, but we did see some damage from the hurricane. This was done 2 days ago. And that's this one right here. So gotta go back to there, don't I? So to show you what that looks like, we'll click on this guy, go to 108.
What a great interactive tool to jump around.
Right, so this is me walking this site, and so we can look up and see what.
That's awful. It's too jumpy.
Yeah, but you, like,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I should be slower at this, but.
We just built this, and said, here, work with us.
So this is the tree, this is 548. You can see that, TECO has, butchered this tree on one side for many years. And that's why that canopy hangs over to one side, because it's trying to survive by leaning over.
you're dragging virtually through the.
Yeah, this is just like street view.
Wow.
So I walked around 2 days ago with a 360 camera above my head, and if you want to see my goofy head, I'll show it to you.
Very neat.
So we did this because we know that trying to figure out, stop moving, please. A lot of times you got to get under the tree and look at it, and the kinds of things that we worked with Aaron in the past was we showed the 20-foot radius for the protection area. We took from the aerials what the actual canopy was rather than a circle, which is usually typically a circle, but no one has a perfectly round tree ever. And so on our plan, we're happy to try to show that, but with the development, we realized that some of these trees, we did reasonable reconfiguration plans, which, so going back to that. So this is the plans that was submitted, same issues that she shared. So on the landscape plan, we've been working with the client on the landscape plan to try to find places to put type 1 trees. And we have a little more opportunity along this edge. And we're removing a driveway here. I wish I'd quit hitting that button. The driveway that's being removed here gives us an opportunity to put a couple of type 1 trees here, which we'll show you in a moment. And we prepared a comment and response letter to talk about the reasonable accommodation. And again, I'm not going to go through every comment, but we did a chart that talked about the two options. And in both options, we're having a significant reduction of units in order that to happen, which I'll show you in a moment. And so the first reconfiguration plan, we said, well, what if we just lost units and tried to save the trees and put in a grade beam to span over the thing? This is somewhat doable, this one losing units and then reconfiguring. And then our second plan was we rearranged the units to be horizontal, even though we'd still be taking out one. It gave us more room to save the 2 trees to the north. But it's still a reduction in units. And I know that's not a requirement, but we found that, that 21 units is what makes this project feasible for our client. So losing units was not an intention that we were there, but if we were trying to reasonably accommodate those, that's what it would cost. So we were asking to, submit for our original request for the 21 units. We can work with staff over the next, between first and second reading to make this closer to consistent, if not completely consistent. We may still have a little trouble getting to the full green space number because there's a VUA number that adds to that. But we believe that we can help with the type 1 trees and the conditions of these 2 grand trees. It could be a lot of work to save a tree and it not survive, which is would be a shame. But you have a question, sir?
Wait, no, it makes no difference, go on.
No.
I'm just not concerned, but I'd never seen a project with just one car, and Mr. Clendenin brought that up, and I was amazed that you got 21
We're providing
units.
2. For every garage has 2 cars for it. We're providing more than is required.
Oh,
But the
2
West
cars.
Shore overlay only requires 1.
Oh, because I understood you had 21
We have 21 units and 2-car garages on all of them.
Okay, I understood
We're
21
providing
cars. I said,
42,
what?
but only 21 is being required.
There's some of them are like 18
Yeah,
foot, 17
that's why.
Yes.
Yeah, no, you don't have 2-car garages because a width of 17 or 18 feet, not going to fit 2 cars. We just had a huge thing about that last week or 2 weeks ago. So those that are facing North A, no way you're fitting 2 cars in those. So knowing that that's the overlay issue, but for me, the bigger issue is you're talking about the trees. I mean, the trees are one thing, but 25% of green space and the garages are too small. It just seems like you're putting a lot in, so why can't you meet the green space requirement?
If I may, also, I don't know what you're
Oh,
saying.
sorry.
No, there's almost 2,900 of reduction in green
Yeah, I
space,
mean, it's
which is about the size
extreme.
of this room right here. This is
Yeah.
50 by 60 is half a lot, so I would say this is about it. What you're looking at this hall here, whatever you want to call it.
Well, my
A
client's
reduction.
here, if she'd like to come speak. This is Rose MG with Amzam Properties. I would like to introduce her. If we can, one of the things we were going to offer as a concession is the uprooted tree had really damaged the alley, and we would be happy to help, repair that. And, but to get more green space, we talk about what we could sacrifice to do that now.
And I'm also curious, there's another part to my question. You have an alley. Why in the world wouldn't you have garages that face the alley? Why in the world would you put more asphalt on this project? This just seems completely backward.
Okay, so again, I'm coming late and coming this project a little late, but if staff might recall, they asked us not to use the alley to keep if we were to do that, we'd also have to take all the trees out to put all the garage doors out that way.
Well,
So
you're
that was a tree saving effort in the first round. Then they asked,
You're
hey,
not
if they're really a
saving trees,
substandard
though.
alley, you asked the question, I'm trying to answer. And that facing those to the alley was not to what staff was asking for. They said, can you do internal circulation? We have fire code, big deal was that the alley was substandard, had these issues. And if we were to do that, then fire marshal was saying that's going to be a problem for them. So for us to reconfigure, that's why we have the U-shaped/T configuration, almost looks like a backwards H, that meets the fire code requirements. So trying to meet the requirements from staff asking for those over the years. Again, I'm coming late to the process, so I wasn't there for the first rounds, but that's my recollection of what the explanation is.
So then, thank you for the explanation, but if you can tell me why you're taking away a significant amount of green space, that would be great.
Willing to offer more green space?
I would love to offer more green space. Actually, I was informed, this is my first meeting, I apologize, I'm not quite doing it
What's your
correctly.
name,
But
for the
I was
record?
told I need to introduce myself. I'm Rosalind MG for Osm Properties Corporation, and that address is 4830 West Kennedy Boulevard, Tampa 33609. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm here on behalf of the owner company, and I'm excited about the project. I understand that there's some deficiency with green space, and that is something that we're committed to addressing in any way that we can. One of the things that we just recently talked about was what's allowable for adding green space potentially to rooftop gardens or adding it vertically that way. If there are creative ways that we can add green space to meet the needs of this community and the goals of our community while also providing this housing that is so necessary, then we're invested in doing that. And that's why we have been working with the committee and with Rob here, with his expertise on seeing what trees we can save and what areas we can add green space to.
I don't think the city of Tampa allows rooftop space to be considered green space. Green space is for the ground.
Flourish,
Yeah.
I apologize, I didn't know. Thank you for telling me.
Councilmember Clendenin, then back to Maria.
Yeah, let's right set this. I know I mean, obviously you guys have come late into this project, but, yeah, this is almost like a non-starter. When you look at this I mean, it's obviously in an area that we'd be we would be acceptable to increasing, density because it's, it's in this type of an area. but it has to be the right type of project. And what, as Councilman Hurtek said, you know, you really, there's too much on too little without any kind of concessions. And it is puzzling. Again, this is one of those things you guys got to go back to the drawing board, because you've got an alley sitting there. And why you're not utilizing that alley for garage access is beyond me. And I can't imagine anybody in the city of Tampa telling you not to use an alley for garage access. Is there anybody, is that something that would have been said? Is there something wrong with this alley that would prevent this from being utilized?
LaShawn Dock, Development Coordination. I believe initially when when this was first, if I can have the overhead, when it first was submitted and it was under a different, agent that was handling the case, there were the trees that were along the north boundary of the site. There was an effort to try to preserve those trees.
But that's no longer the
So there was one
case.
version of a plan that accessed the alley, but I think it was something about a turn, and this building didn't have as much of a setback as it does here. So then they resubmitted a plan which would have preserved these trees, which I think now aren't being preserved.
Right.
But that was the initial reason for the change, was to preserve the trees along the north.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry that this is an interesting scenario that, you're putting an awful lot and so little. Again, when we look at the size of those garages, and I get the fact that again, it was a surprise to all of us about the overlay district and the parking requirements, but, the green space, the door orientation, it's not providing anything really to the neighborhood and access. This is just a problematic proposal.
Councilman Miranda.
No, I would just, certainly the trees hold water, they're gonna be gone. And then you're cutting down on the floor space for where water can drain, that's gonna be gone. So, I mean, what are we gonna have? I'm not trying to be in any way argumentative, but, and then if the garage is only 18.6 inches or 7 inches, 2 cars can't fit in there and open the doors. You can't. The cars are 9 foot wide by the time you open the doors. Can't get in, can't get out. The way if I recall, it's 20 foot, 7 inches?
Yeah, some of them are only 17.
That's what we're looking for, 20 foot, 7 inches for each garage door for 2 cars.
16, 10. Is that what that says? No, that's not. Sorry, that's not.
So,
Yes, sir.
you're willing to make changes. If you're willing to make changes, we can ask to make those changes between first and second reading.
Actually, the changes have to be made, if these are substantive changes, I
Yeah,
believe
it's not.
you would probably have to just ask for a continuance and come back and maybe perhaps have to go through DRC, if that's the process. And maybe
process?
Ms. Dock can inform council and the applicant.
Yes, LaShawn Dock, Development Coordination. So at this point, the options are for the applicant to only make the changes as listed in the site plan modification sheet, on the site plan revision sheet. If they want to work to try to increase the green space, that would require probably elimination of a unit, reduction of a setback, which could be done, but we would just need some direction as to what the applicant is working on between these hearings. There are certain changes, you can go less, not more, between first and second reading, or it could be continued to come back for another first reading.
I would be more comfortable with another first reading because I think this is too substantial of a change to come. And normally we don't do that, but I would absolutely prefer that. I mean, this is development that is needed. It is just not fully baked.
That's in the right area.
So I would.
That's a win, by the way.
Yeah, it really is. So I would come back again. Reconsider the alley since you're not going to be able to save the trees, and more green space and garage stuff. I mean, even though you're not required to, we're finding a lot of complaints of people who buy a house or a condo and cannot and believe that they're going to be able to fit 2 cars and cannot. So we're hearing it from the other side as well. So we're committed to making sure that garage sizes are correct. We had a big conversation about it last week. So.
Councilman Miranda,
I'm just, I wish them well, because the location's fine, everything else is fine, but it's like too much for too little land.
So I think what we'd be looking for is for you all to request a continuance.
Would you like to do that?
Members of
The
the
alternative-
council, I would respectfully request a continuance on this matter.
What date do we have for that?
And how much time would you
So
think they would
LaShawn,
need?
Development Coordination, for the changes that we've discussed, the access from the alley, the reorientation of the buildings on site, another DRC would be needed. And then we would come back, so we need at least a 2-month time frame. So you're looking at a continuance for February,
For a
May 8th, or
Okay.
either June 12th is full.
Okay, then does
May
does May 8th work?
accomplish that?
It does, respectfully, again, I know I'm going to be asked if there's any earlier date, and I don't know what your schedule's like, but was there anything in April, or is May truly the most
May's-
appropriate?
Because of what you're gonna have to go through, May is your best bet.
Thank you.
Because you're looking at just scheduling wise, a DRC maybe in March.
Okay.
And then you would revise the plans, submit them. DRC staff would review them again, and then we
Have to
forward
have
it
30
to
days
council.
notice. so.
Mm-hmm.
Could I,
Councilman Cross.
Yeah, could I just say, for your clients, and usually now we don't do continuances this late after something has been heard. And so I think my colleagues are suggesting it out of the thought that the project could come back better. And LaShawn or somebody, could you tell us how long, if we turned it down tonight, how long it would be before they would be able to come back?
Be a year, I believe.
Yeah, a year.
Just so their clients know.
LaShawn Dock, Development Coordination, correct. They would have to wait a year to come back before council with a request on the property.
So if we were strictly following the rules and we voted it down, it would be a year. And so by allowing a continuance is saving a lot of time.
So I'll make a motion.
All right, go ahead.
I-
Wait. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
you-
If you're going to make them, if
So-
it's the council's intention to make.
waive the rules to allow for
Second.
continuance.
We have a motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
And then make your motion for continuance?
Okay, I move to continue file number REZ 25-13 to the May 8th City Council evening session at 5:01 PM. I should have this memorized by now. 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, at 5:01.
Thank you for
Yeah.
consideration.
All right, we have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. We'll see you back on the 8th. Yeah. Last item of the night, item number 9.
For the record, Christopher DeMonch, Development Coordination. Agenda item 9 is REZ 2519. This is a request to rezone 3502 North Lincoln Avenue from RS 50 to Planned Development for residential single-family detached uses. I'll turn it over to Planning Commission staff.
Jennifer Malone with your planning commission staff. We're in the Central Tampa Planning District. This is the McFarland Park neighborhood. I think the image speaks for itself. It's a single-family detached all around it. At the corner of North Lincoln Avenue and West, it's late, I'm gonna mess it up, but, Abdella Street.
That's fine.
It is a future land use of residential 10. That's the orange color. It's the predominant future land use in the surrounding area. And that's consistent with the development pattern being typically very single-family detached. I will be brief, but I do just want to put on the record that if you look at the lot sizes of the surrounding area, and Ms. Stock will go, or I'm sorry, Mr. DeMonch will go into more detail here, but this is developed, the street, at 78% of the density anticipated under the residential 10 designation. So we do see this area of the city is reaching its development potential under this designation, planned for 10 dwelling units an acre, and the 2 dwelling units on the subject site will just further that. Supported by the comprehensive plan policies to provide more housing for Tampa's growing population. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right.
Go. We'll start with an aerial of the subject site and the surrounding area. You can see the subject site outlined in red. It's located on the northwest corner of West Abdullah Street and North Lincoln Avenue. The surrounding development pattern to the north, south, east, and west of the subject site is comprised of single-family detached dwellings with RS50 zoning. Single-family detached dwelling development continues west of the subject site all the way up to North Himes Avenue. Along North Himes Avenue, we see a mix of not just the residential uses, but we do see some business professional office uses sprinkled in and located adjacent to the residential uses. Here we have the site plan provided by the applicant. There is an existing single-family detached dwelling located on the southern portion of the site. It's one story. It's a little over 1,500 square feet. The applicant is proposing the construction of a two-story, single-family detached structure totaling 1,806 square feet to be located on the northern portion of the site. The existing site overall, with frontage along West Abdullah Street and North Lincoln Avenue, would be split, creating an individual lot for each dwelling. The proposed single-family detached dwelling would have frontage along North Lincoln Avenue with both the front door and the two-car garage facing the right-of-way of North Lincoln Avenue. Here we have some elevations. We have the east elevation showing the front entryway, the two-car garage. The overall height for the proposed dwelling would be 24 feet 9 inches. So we have the east and west elevations. And then we have the north and south elevations. There are no waivers requested with this application. I do have some photos showing the existing site and surrounding area. We'll get to those now. This is the existing single-family detached dwelling that would be located on the southern portion of the site. This was taken from West Abdullah Street. The next photo shows the backyard of that single-family dwelling. This is the proposed location for the proposed dwelling, which would be on the northern portion of the site. Just north of the proposed site, we have another detached dwelling. Next photo shows from the subject property, the southern portion of the site, looking south across West Abdullah Street. This is the parcel adjacent on the west from the subject site. Next photo shows looking east across North Lincoln Avenue. Next we have looking east down West Abdullah Street. Looking west down West Abdullah Street. And the last photo I have here is looking southeast from the subject site. Development coordination and compliance staff have reviewed this application. We find it to be consistent with the Land Development Code. Should it be the pleasure of City Council to approve the application, modifications to the site plan as shown on the submitted revision sheet must be completed between first and second reading, and I'm available for any questions.
Any questions? Thank you very much. Applicant? Yes, sir, please state your name.
Good evening, Council. Mike Nolan, Environmental Engineering Consultants, agent for the applicant. Owner's intention to put an additional one single-family residence on the northern portion of the lot. Staff and Planning Commission have found it consistent. I don't really have too much to add, but I will be here available for questions.
Any questions? Yes, ma'am?
I don't know if this is for you or staff, but can you, what will the size of the lots be? Will they be conforming?
So the existing zoning is RS50, which the minimum lot width is 50 feet. And so the northern lot that we're proposing is only 45 feet wide.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Rand.
that area there, there's, I'm not sure in that area, but right to the east of you, there's a lot of ditches. I don't know if there's ditches in front of these houses or not.
No.
You're on Lincoln then, on Lincoln and Abdella?
Yep.
In the corner?
Northwest corner.
Yeah, those corners are usually a little bit larger lots than the rest of them.
Yeah, well, the lot that he has is
What's the total square footage of the lot?
the total lot, currently is a little bit more than, sorry.
There you go.
Yeah, it's 10,700 square feet. It's a little bit more than a double lot.
Yeah. And the other residents are gonna stay the way it is.
The existing residence is to remain, yes. It's
I
just,
saw a
it's just
house
where
there.
the
One-
location
I saw
is a
blue
little
house.
bit.
I don't think it's yours. Had about 3 air conditioners in the back. So I hope it's not a rental property or a housing unit in a residential district. I'm not talking about your, I saw something that had like 1, 2, 3 of
Yeah, you
those.
showed the backyard of the property, and it had the exterior AC units, the individual ones by each window.
Oh, on the north side of the existing residence?
The split units, they call them, I think.
All right.
Oh, the window units.
That one right there.
Is that what the split unit is?
Yeah, it's a split unit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's normal.
At the other house?
That's the existing house,
Is that a single-family residence or double apartment building?
It's a single-family residence as far as I'm aware.
Yeah, those are called splits, so then you have an individual unit.
Yeah, inside. I just want to be, all right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak on this item? I see no one. Motion to close from Councilmember Clendenin. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Who would like to read this? Go ahead, sir.
I move file number REZ 2519, an ordinance being presented for first reading consideration, ordinance rezoning property in the general vicinity of 3502 North Lincoln Avenue in the city of Tampa, Florida, more particularly described in section 1 from zoning district classifications RS50 residential single family to PD plan development, residential single family detached, providing an effective date.
Is there a second? Second from Councilmember Carlson. Roll call vote, please.
Carlson? Hurtak?
Yes.
Clendenin?
Yes.
Henderson?
Yes.
Vieira?
Yes.
Miranda?
Yes.
Maniscalco?
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Second reading and adoption will be held on March 27th, 2025 at 10 a.m. located at 315 East Kennedy Boulevard, 3rd floor, Tampa, Florida, 33602.
Thank you. That concludes our agenda. New business, Councilmember Miranda.
If I may, and just a thought, the meeting that we had today was great regarding the budgets and so forth and everything. And I was just thinking if we could get maybe Ms. Hager, the budget man from the city, to meet with downstairs with the budget committee that we formed and it worked so well, and explain, maybe get some feedback from them, what we talked about today, especially on the CIT tax, because I don't know if that can be done, but if we can pay that little by little coming in, as the money comes in, we can save a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because the interest then will be absorbed to us.
So Ms. Kopesky goes to every single one of those meetings, but,
I'd like to make a motion
Yeah.
for her to get with maybe the chairman or yourself or somebody and meet and although meet with council individually to get ideas so she can go down and meet with the next meeting and present something to them so they can understand what we're doing and maybe work out something better for the citizens.
oh, that's a great idea, I'm sure. Yeah, she could come to all of us.
You got a motion, then we have a second?
I mean, I don't know that we need to motion it. She can just,
Yeah,
Okay,
let's do it
okay.
officially. All right,
oh, then
we have
I'll second, yeah.
a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Anything else, sir?
That's it, sir.
Councilman,
Can I just ask him, did you mention a specific idea you want us to talk about?
The specific idea was that, when I asked the question, does that money pay? Oh, no, it pays it as it comes in. I said, if it comes in, why do we have to pay the interest? So why bond it, then you can pay
Yeah,
it when
because
you go.
Like a pay-go.
that's exactly what I believe as well.
Yeah.
So I hope they'll ask, if she'll ask that specific
Yeah.
question.
Well, I'll make sure they do.
all right, Councilman Vieira, do you have any new business?
No, sir, thank you.
What? Councilman,
February 27, 2025 at 10:26 p.m. History was made.
Let's not, Louis, don't let them bother you.
Let's write the Pope and declare an era. There you go.
Councilmember Clendenin.
I do. I have a couple of things. I do. I know. Exactly. So on February 16th, 2025, I accepted the resignation of Jonathan Brill from the City Council Citizens Advisory Budget and Finance Committee. I wanted to thank him for his service to the city and its citizens. If you don't know Jonathan, he's a great guy. He had some personal commitments that precluded him from being able to serve in that capacity. So I would like to motion to appoint Hoyt Prindle to serve as the representative for District 1 for the City Council Advisory Budget, City Council Advisory Budget and Finance Committee to serve the remainder of that term.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
I got no problem with that.
I already cleared that, by the way.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Yeah.
Anything else?
And one more thing is, this afternoon, I read my proposed resolution honoring a Muslim Heritage Month in conjunction with Ramadan 2025. I'm not going to read the entire whereases, but I would like to read the therefores, because we have members of the community here to talk about this. It says, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Tampa, Florida, Tampa City Council hereby celebrates the period of February 28th, 2025 to March 29th, 2025 as a Muslim Heritage Month in conjunction with the observance of Ramadan. Tampa City Council encourages educational institutions, community organizations, businesses, and residents to participate in activities and programs that honor and celebrate the contributions of the Muslim community. Tampa City Council supports initiatives that promote understanding, respect, and collaboration among all cultural and religious groups within Tampa. This resolution will take effect immediately upon its adoption. And so that is that. And would you mind, because, yeah, I'm moving the resolution, but what I'd like to do, because we have members of the community that came tonight, would you mind having maybe a couple of them come up as a group?
Would anybody wish to speak, say anything?
Yeah. Would somebody like to come up and just talk very briefly, because it's so late? Because I know you guys sat here all night long waiting for this, so I just wanted to give you the privilege of being able to come up and say
Yes, sir.
something.
Please state your name.
My name is Gamal Gasser. I represent the community of the Muslims in the Tampa Bay area. We would like to recognize the greatness of the city of Tampa for recognizing our Muslim Heritage Month. We really appreciate it, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Rani Abdo. Thank you so much. I know it's late, but we are ecstatic and excited and happy to celebrate this. In a couple of days, we're starting the month of Ramadan, which we will be fasting. I want to thank the members of my community for bringing this to your attention and for you to accept it and to make us feel as Muslims included and active in this community. And we are honored to be your neighbors and your doctors and your fellow members of this society. Thank you for making Tampa diverse and safe and prosperous. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Come on up.
I just wanted to, I forgot to invite you all for the pinnacle that we're having for the month of Ramadan. We have an iftar that's going to be happening on the 16th of March. We're going to be sending you the invitation individually for the reservation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, and I said this afternoon, it's one of the reasons, I chose to raise my children in Tampa because I think this is one of the most incredible cities. It's a city that is diverse, and we honor and we appreciate the diversity in the city of Tampa, and we appreciate every element of that and every part of that community and the richness that it brings, and it really makes all of our lives better to be able to live shoulder to shoulder and hand in hand with everybody that lives here. So I proudly move this resolution.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
And may I, Mr. Chair?
Quick second. Yes, sir.
Thank you. And thank you, Councilman Clendenin, for that. Also, I had mentioned that we're going to have at the new Tampa Recreation Center a get together, and obviously everybody from council is invited there. In particular, if Councilman Clendenin, if you wanted to present the resolution to folks there, it's going to be Monday at 4:30. Just that, and I know we're also working with the mayor's office to hopefully get a proclamation out of them as well, one from council and one from the administration, and I see no reason as to why that won't happen. So Yeah, so just thank you, Mr. Chair.
If it's this Monday at 4:30, I can't, so if you were able to do that on our behalf, I'd really appreciate it.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you very much. I've signed the resolution, so I'm give it back to you. It's official there. Thank you very much. Anything else, sir?
I'm done.
I don't have a motion. I forgot to mention, I would just want to offer my condolences to the family of Norma Bean, which many of us know. She passed away yesterday morning. Yep, so she was married to George Bean, who is basically the father of the modern Tampa International Airport. And she was actually married to Cookie Garcia, another gentleman who we all knew who passed away, wonderful people. So I just want to offer my condolences. She was very, very involved in the community, and, you know, all the good ones go, so.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
Nope, I don't have anything.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, before she went into the memory care center, we all used to hang out all the time. She was just such a delightful, great person, and had all the history of George Bean in the airport, which was just really fascinating.
Yep.
When's the service? Do you know?
I don't know yet. It's going to be at the funeral home on Armenia and Osborne. But is it Bozer and Roa? Yeah, but I don't know if the details have been posted yet.
Because the problem with getting older is that now all of our friends are passing away. A couple things. Thank you to our friends from the Muslim community for coming here, and wish you a great Muslim Heritage Month. Also, Councilmember Henderson got an award tonight, although she was here and skipped getting the award. So, can you tell us what the award was again? Downtown Partnership?
The Downtown Partnership, it was for Black English Bookstore, and it was for small businesses, I guess, in the Downtown Partnership area, and I won. And Ariel went and picked up the award for me, so.
It's a big deal to win one of those
I know,
awards.
I guess it is. I'm just so tired. I couldn't be there, you know. I mean, we're here with South Tampa.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, but thank you for sharing that.
And she got a trophy, which was
Yeah, it's a very
just
nice
how I know
plaque.
she
It
was
looks like
carrying
a
the whole way.
railroad track or something. It's very nice. Yeah.
The-
Gwen Meyer's husband passed away, so condolences to her husband. She'll be burying him this weekend.
Yeah, service. The wake is tomorrow.
Wake is tomorrow, so I did write a letter on behalf of Tampa City Council, and
All right. Anything else?
Yeah, she spoke at Catholic on Tampa last Friday, and I didn't think she was going to show up, and you know, it was only a couple days afterwards. Anyway, I've had a lot of questions about Kylie Garden and the parking garage under it. I don't remember that we've had an update on that lately, so unless somebody remembers that we have, I'd like to make a motion to ask staff to present a 5-minute update on the status of Kylie Garden and the parking garage beneath it on July 31st to include plans and timeline to repair the damage.
All right, we have a motion and we have a second from Councilmember Hurtak. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
One last thing.
Yes.
Today is Jim Porter's birthday, so happy birthday,
Yes.
Mr. Porter.
Yes, it is. Happy birthday. Anything else? Can I get a motion to receive and file? All in, a motion from Councilmember Miranda. Do we have a second to receive and file? Motion, do we have a second? We have a second from Councilmember Clendenin. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.